finally summer in Barcelona. So I came back from Texas. Actually, it's been like 2 weeks since I came back from Texas, but I was just like procrastinating so much to film this video that I'm only doing it right now. But you know, better later than never. And I'm filming this update of the Texas trip. So if you remember from the last video, I was shooting a small clip, you know, how things are like not doing really good and you know, not really didn't make up for the expenses of the trip and everything. And yeah, since that time, things got even worse. Basically, the Texas trip got me really into a bad situation overall. During the whole trip, I played for like 330 hours. In the end, I lost like 2.5K from poker and also like 5 or like 4K on expenses. So that's a lot of money gone from my bankroll right now. But it's fine, it is what it is. Yeah, I was pissed about it so much in the States because, I don't know, I played over so many hours and the games were so good and just, I don't know, I just ran bad. I was playing like shit also, I'm not gonna lie, but just the combination of both made me to be in the situation I am right now. However, I'm super happy to be back in Europe. I don't know why, it just feels good to be in Barcelona. It feels like home. It's so warm right now, you can like walk outside with a shirt. It still gets pretty cold at night, but all in all, the conditions for living here are perfect right now. So the plan is to grind back all the money lost in Texas. I estimated it's gonna take something until August. So it's a bit of a bitch to like close like half a year of just like pure grinding just to get into the same spot you were before. But on the flip side, we're studying a lot right now, trying to like improve our edge and just to get better. And a lot of lessons learned while I was in Texas. And all in all, like even if I would have that money right now, nothing would really change. I would still live in the same place I live right now. I would still eat the same food. And I would still play the same poker I play right now. So when you think from that kind of perspective, you know, it's not that bad. But anyways, 2 very important lessons I learned while I was in Texas. Lesson number 1, having a social life is super important when you're playing a lot of poker. And I'm guilty of neglecting that. I was like playing 330 hours in 1 month and 10 days, which is like 9.5 hours a day on average, I think, excluding any like time off. So I think in the whole 1 month and 10-day period, we took like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days off. It was just a total grindhouse, you know, in there. We were like for a limited amount of time and, you know, expenses were really high. So we were just trying to make the most out of it and putting as much volume as possible. I thought I can do it like this for like 1 month and I'm gonna be fine, but I realized that, you know, in the end of the trip, I was getting really exhausted, like mentally. So I just started to like go climbing and, you know, try to separate a little bit myself from poker, just so, you know, I wouldn't go insane or whatever. Now when I came back to Barcelona, I realized that I need to make like the social life the #1 priority and then poker, just to, you know, balance it out a little bit. And I noticed like in the meantime, you also play a little bit better because you're like more relaxed, you know, you don't feel like this kind of pressure. Because when you play a lot of poker and it's the main thing you do in your life, and if it's not going good, you kind of feel like you're failing in life, if that makes sense. So when you have other stuff in your life going on, you're like more balanced, you know, if poker doesn't go good, you can comfort yourself that you have all these other things going around you that are going well. So that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is whenever you think you run so bad and you're like in such a bad spot and things just can't get any worse, remember that there are multiple layers to hell and things just might get worse, you know. If not this time, maybe the next time you run bad. So there is this famous quote from whatever guy. He said like, you will once run worse than you ever could imagine, or something like that. So the point holds true that, you know, sometimes when you're like running bad and everything and you feel you're like entitled to, you know, run good and you know that it's gonna turn around at some point, it's not necessarily going to happen. You will have like stretches in your career where you just run bad and like shit is going down and you feel like in a washing machine, and that's just the nature of the job. You cannot really get away from it. Having these 2 lessons in mind, I came back here right now have like a more balanced grinding routine, trying to, you know, fit in some social hours into my grinding hours and doing more studying than I did before. I think studying is really like the biggest cure for a downswing, because you just feel the confidence so much. Like when you play the game and you like study all of these spots, you can see the mistakes your opponents are making, which gives you like a lot of confidence in your game because you can recognize the mistakes they are making. And I think that's the biggest cure for the lack of confidence when you're like swinging bad. So a big chunk of my bankroll is gone. It's gonna take half a year to just get back to the point where I was before. It's a little bit of a bitch, but right now I'm like came in agreement with the circumstances, let's say. I was more pissed about it when I was in Texas because the games were just so good, they were so splashy and everything, and I just couldn't win. I don't know, like it's such a rough like time mentally. The thing is, there's like many multi-way pots, so first of all, I definitely sucked a lot at multi-way pots, overplaying some draws. The second thing is that we have multi-way pots and people are like not inclined in folding. You have a little bit bigger like standard deviation than average. So even though your win rate can be way higher, the standard deviation is also higher. I just remember some nights where like this big whale comes in and he like makes these opens in 1-3 of like 50 bucks, and you just get good hands against him and you just cannot fucking win. And it feels so frustrating, you know, like I remember this guy, he like punted like 1 or 2K for like every player that was sitting at the table. I think that night I actually lost money to him. It was just to the point it was getting ridiculous, but yeah, sometimes you will run like this. Usually when you run bad, it's also a combination of play bad. They just usually go together and there's no way around it. Like the better you play, the less likely you're to swing, right? But when you ran bad, sometimes you can get into like this little swirl of also playing bad. Maybe you start over adjusting or like changing your game too much to a point where it becomes not a very good game. So yeah, I'm just trying right now to work more on my game with the solver every day, trying to figure out some spots where I could improve. And yeah, I'm just kind of a nice routine right now. I'm pretty happy with my life. Just grinding, not too many hours, socializing, and trying to raise my edge as much as possible. So yeah, this is a quick update from Barcelona, and the weather is super nice right now. I cannot get enough of it. I'm just so happy that I'm in Europe. And of course the weather in Texas was also pretty good. It was like really hot on some days, but I just feel way less stress while I am here, just because I have very low expenses compared to the expenses I had in Texas. So that's the plan right now. Keep the expenses low, grind out the hours in the casino, and also keep on studying just so I could get my game to a good level where I don't need to like worry about the mistakes that I make, and be more confident in the decisions I make. Even though like I lose a hand, I can still feel the confidence that I made the right decision. That's yeah, so that's the update. We're gonna see how it goes and I'll keep you posted. Ciao, ciao.